We are back at my friend Jamie's house today, and she is teaching me how to install an automatic irrigation system or a self-watering system. You can put on a timer, leave it, go away, and your garden will be okay. Now, this might sound like something that's only for handymen. I am not a handyman or a handy woman. I would put myself in the category of someone who couldn't do this sort of thing. But trust me, she's just showed me how it works, and even I can do this. The best thing about it, they're all relatively inexpensive pieces that you can buy from your hardware store. She bought every single bit here from Bunnings, all in the same section. We're going to show you exactly what she's used, how she's done it, and in the description I will put a full list of every little item that you need in order to get your watering system set up for the months ahead. So now you can leave that and know that once you've set it to 24 hours, it'll come on every day at the same time.
Exactly, for 20 minutes or however long you want it to go for.
Now, if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you will have come across Jamie before. We did a tour of her epic edible garden a few months ago. I will also put a link to that video in the description. But I tell you what, the garden's looking amazing now. So much has grown since then, so we'll be doing another one soon. I run regular garden tours of suburban gardens here in Melbourne, Australia, at least every month. So hit subscribe if you love watching that sort of thing. An automatic watering system is going to be more important over spring and summer than ever. The Bureau of Meteorology has announced that we are officially in an El Nino event, which means that the next few months ahead are going to be warmer and drier than usual. If you're planning to head away at all over summer, this is an awesome way to make sure your garden stays hydrated and your plants survive while you're away.
Down here to the fence line, and then it has a corner junction and goes all the way to the end there. So I really am not really keen to go out and hand water a lot, and I have quite a lot of space. So take a long time to adequately water, and then you have to make sure you don't miss a weekend. And so I just want it to happen automatically, and I don't have to worry about it. I know that all my plants are going to get watered. So I'm actually setting up an automated sprinkler system for all of my front garden beds, which have flowers and fruit in them. So it's connected from my basic hose spigot there, and it uses this timer to tell it when and for how long to water. And then after that, you use a splitter so that you can have a basic hand watering hose if you want to use it. I think anyone could do it. You need a few basic tools, but there's really no specialized equipment at all besides the bits and pieces that you get from the hardware store. I bought everything from Bunnings, all in one section, very well organized and well signed, and anyone that you ask at that store would know to point you in the right direction.
And roughly how expensive are we talking?
It's pretty inexpensive. The timer is probably the most expensive, and you can get a really expensive one if you want with Bluetooth and really fancy stuff, but you can also go budget, and the actual plastic irrigation bits are quite inexpensive as well.
What are the bits of equipment that you need? And I will, for anyone watching, put all of these in the description, so you don't need to write any of these down.
Okay, so two things that you're going to need that I don't have in front of me is a timer and a splitter. And the splitter lets you have a hand hose as well as your automated system. And then after that, you're going to need just a regular hose attacher, and then some 13mm plastic pipe, and this comes in a big coil. Some 4mm plastic pipe, and that's for the sprinklers. And then some connectors, depending on kind of what shape you're going to make yours in. If it's going to be like a rectangle, or you can have spurs coming off of it, you might need some T-bars or some L-shaped ones, and you can kind of plan out what shape you're going to make and then buy appropriately. These little guys help to grip it and to keep it all together. And then you'll need a hole punch or an awl, I think they're called, and that comes specifically for the purpose. And then just some little sprinkler heads, and these come in different types, just like this one particularly. They come in packs of 10. They're all really inexpensive, so you can kind of plan out how many connectors you need and just buy to suit your needs, and you can actually expand it later. It can be really flexible. So also you'll need a few end caps to just finish off the 13mm pipe at the end and to close it off and create the water pressure that you need. So I'm just pulling this up with boiling water because it makes connecting the pipes much easier when they've been kind of relaxed in the hot water.
So what is the very first thing someone should do? Is it measuring out the space they want to water?
Yeah, measuring, and also kind of creating maybe a mud map of how you want it to go. Like, so from your sprinkler, do you want it to go left, right? Does it need to turn corners? Making sure that you have enough hose to get to all of the different beds. So I've got several disparate beds in this area, and I want to make sure that my hose is reaching all of them.
So how do we connect it together?
Okay, so you start by connecting the hose to the splitter. So you connect the 13 millimeter pipe to the hose here. It's not coming off, sorry. Get that on nice and tight.
What's that called again?
So this is the hose connector. Excuse me, Tulip. This is the hose connector. That connects to the 13 millimeter pipe, and that connects to your hose splitter. Nice and tight.
And you're going to show us how you did this, aren't you?
Yeah, so here I've got a T-junction, and I'll show you. I have to do another one in a different part of the garden, so I'll show you how we're going to put that together. So here, I've got my pipe weighted down with tiles to keep it nice and straight, and I need to run another pipe this way so I can get the beds along there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just cutting the 13 millimeter pipe there, and then what we need is this T-junction is going to go there so that we can run a pipe this way. So in order to connect the T-junction, first we put a clamp onto the pipe, and we soak the pipe in hot water for a few seconds. It softens the pipe and just makes it easier to put the pipe on it. Just saves your hands a little bit. And so after a few seconds in there, we put this on there, and it should just slide on really nicely. Much easier than without. So then you put the clamp up and around the top of it, and it clicks together. You can use some pliers to help it close all the way. And that will keep that from leaking really nicely. And then we just do that for each side of the hose. One there. Do one here. Into the water. Probably the hardest part is remembering to put the clamp on before you do the pipe. Move the clamp up.
So the clamp just holds it tight together and stops it leaking.
Exactly.
You just get a bag of those and you get heaps in there, do you?
Yep, I think you can get a bag of 10 or 20. And if you want to take them off, all you kind of do is put your pliers on there and twist it, and it will come off. So if you want to reconfigure later, or if you forgot to do something, no big deal.
Now, I don't know that you've shown me that piece either yet.
So this is just a little pin that you can use to keep the hose in place once you've got it configured the way that you want it.
Of course.
So you can just put it right there. Keep it nice and tight. And then I find that over time, the hose will actually kind of make its way underneath the mulch, and you can check it periodically, but it will really just stay there for years. My old system I had for 5 years, and I never had to do anything to it. One tip would be that if you can have a nice day, the day before you're going to install it, roll out your hose and weight it down to keep it nice and flat and straight. Because when it comes in a coil, and it'll be really bendy and coily. So I've laid this out and weighted it down, so now it's a little bit more relaxed and straight. It makes it easier to work with.
And you would do that on a nice day because it heats up.
Heats it up, and then it relaxes kind of into the straight line.
Beautiful.
So this spur that we just installed with the T-junction is going to water these beds, which aren't connected otherwise. And what we're going to do is we're going to end it right here with the end plug. So we're just going to cut it where we're going to end it. And we're going to attach the end plug in the same way as we attached the other ones. Let me get my hot water. All right, so we're just going to attach the end plug the same way that we attach the T-junction. We've already got the clamp on there. Put the end plug. Make sure it's pushed down all the way. Tighten the clamp. And then we'll put in our pin to hold it in place. Done.
So that's the end of the line.
That's the end of the line. So now we're actually going to create the little sprinklers that connect to the 13mm pipe. Once that whole framework is set up, we're going to create this so that this section goes in the pipe and then this section does the actual watering. So you take your coil of 4mm flexible tubing pipe and you cut however long you want. I'll probably do a good meter because the longer the hose is, the more flexible it is. You can move it around, put it in different places. Just snip it off. And then you have your sprinkler heads. I like the ones that come on a spike like this, and they have this little barb attached to them. So the barb is going to go in one end of this. So we'll soak that into the hot water for just a moment. And we'll push that onto the non-sharp side of the barb. Make sure it's pushed down really nice and firm. There aren't clamps for this size, so it needs to be really firm. And then we'll soak the other end of the hose in the hot water and push that onto the little spur of the sprinkler. Really tight, so it's all the way up against it. That. And then this twists to control the water flow. So righty-tighty, twist it all the way down, it actually shuts it off. So if there's a plant that doesn't need watering or a section that doesn't need watering, you can just twist it off so that you eliminate that specific sprinkler, so it's quite flexible and you can water different areas if you want. And then you lefty-loosey, twist it the other way to make the sprinkler head larger. All right, so then it's time to attach the sprinkler to the actual pipe. So we use our little hole puncher. So we're just gonna punch a hole in our pipe. And then we're gonna insert the sprinkler barb right into that hole. Make sure it's in there nice and tight. I like to give it a little bit of a twist. And then our sprinkler is connected to our hose. And then we just stick it into the garden wherever we want it to be.
And it's that easy.
It's that easy. And then you turn the water on and it goes.
And so how have you kind of secured that so it won't leak?
So this is designed not to leak because it has a barb on it that's larger than the hole. And the way that the water pressure pushes out on that, it doesn't leak.
So you could technically use that puncher to punch holes for like a dripping irrigation system.
You could, but the water pressure is a little bit more tricky to regulate. When you have a drip system, you want a low pressure system so it drips rather than sprays out. So I prefer using the sprinklers over a drip system just because I find it simpler to set up. Should we give it a test?
Let's try it out.
Okay. So I'll make sure that that section's on. I'll hit the on switch and hopefully we'll go. There it goes. So
wow,
that's probably too much. So we'll twist it until the spray gets smaller. And you kind of have to play around a little bit with the water pressure. The more sprinklers you have it installed, the lower the pressure will be. So after I get all of mine installed, I'll go around and adjust each individual sprinkler to the right width. And then I will never play with this again because that will just shut off automatically. But when it comes back on again, I'll know that the water pressure is at the right level. So I'll adjust these ones. So then that's watering my artichoke, my hellebores, and hopefully my dahlias. And then I've got this right next to my apple tree. So that will make sure the apple tree gets good and watered. But then it's also getting my ranunculus, my scabiosa, and my violets.
Jamie has also taught us all about how to raise chickens in a suburban backyard. There's a separate video for that. I will also put the link in the description.